For almost a decade, he was the target of the largest manhunt in history. But how do you find a ghost? This is the story of all the false starts, the dead ends, and the one, almost invisible thread that finally led the CIA to Osama bin Laden.
Okay, so picture this. It's 2004, just 4 days before US presidential election, and boom, this video hits the news. It's Osama bin Laden, and he looks healthy, confident, almost like he's taunting everyone. He's taking responsibility for 9/11 more directly than ever, and the message was loud and clear: you can't find me. And you know, the really frustrating part for the CIA at this point? He was right. They couldn't find him. The trail had gone completely cold 3 years before in Afghanistan. I mean, they had been so close, they'd trapped al-Qaeda fighters in the Tora Bora Mountains, but somehow bin Laden just slipped away. The world's biggest manhunt had totally stalled out.
But here's the thing. What the CIA didn't realize at the time was that among the handful of low-level fighters they captured in that battle, one of them held the key. He didn't look like much, but he was about to become the first real clue they'd had in years.
This is where it gets into some real detective work. So this guy's name was Mohammed al-Qahtani. And at first, his story is that he's just in Afghanistan to hunt falcons. A falcon hunter, right. But his fingerprints tell a very different story. They're a perfect match for a guy who tried to get into the US in Orlando just weeks before 9/11, but got turned away by a customs agent with a gut feeling. And get this, on that exact same day, a call was made from a payphone at that airport to a known al-Qaeda number. The final nail in the coffin? A rental car left in the parking lot was registered to Mohammed Atta, the lead 9/11 hijacker. The picture was suddenly crystal clear. This so-called falcon hunter was supposed to have been the 20th hijacker. So once his cover was completely blown, al-Qahtani starts talking. And buried in all the information he gives up, there's a name. It's a seemingly small detail about the guy who trained him. The name was Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. And just like that, the CIA finally had a thread to pull. But here's the problem. They had a thread, right? But this thread was practically invisible. The hunt for bin Laden basically had to become the hunt for this mysterious courier, a total ghost who was operating completely in the shadows. So the next big break doesn't even come for another 2 years. Another detainee, a man named Hassan Ghul, is captured. And when he's interrogated, he confirms the name, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. But then he adds this absolutely critical detail. Al-Kuwaiti wasn't just some trainer. He was one of bin Laden's most trusted guys, his personal courier. This was a game changer. Suddenly, al-Kuwaiti went from just a person of interest to the absolute center of the entire investigation.
But intelligence is never simple, is it? So while Hassan Ghul is saying this guy al-Kuwaiti's absolutely essential, other senior detainees, I'm talking Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of 9/11, they're telling a totally different story. They claimed al-Kuwaiti was a nobody, some insignificant guy who'd retired years ago. So who do you believe? Were they telling the truth? Or were they trying to protect the one man who could lead the CIA directly to bin Laden? And to make it all even harder, the name itself was basically a dead end. Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. That's not a real name. It's what's called a kunya. It's a common Arabic nickname. It literally just means father of Ahmed from Kuwait. I mean, that's like trying to find someone in America whose only known name is John from Texas. They were hunting for a man who didn't even have a real name. So for years, the trail went cold again. But behind the scenes, investigators were just patiently, painstakingly putting all these tiny little pieces together. They were sifting through mountains of data, just waiting for one tiny mistake. And eventually, it came. I mean, just think about the sheer patience this took. The nickname first pops up in 2004. It took 3 more years until 2007 before they finally get his real name, Ibrahim Saeed Ahmed. But okay, knowing his name is one thing, finding him is another. So the CIA starts monitoring millions of phone calls, hoping to just catch his voice. And for 3 more years, nothing. Silence.
Then, in June 2010, they get a hit. A suspicious phone call. So after all those years of dead ends, of chasing this ghost, what do you think was the one phrase that finally broke this whole case wide open?
That was it. That's the line. The man on the phone, who they were sure was the courier, is talking to a family member, and he says, "I am with the same people I was with before." It's so vague, right? But to the CIA analysts who had lived and breathed this case for years, it was like a lightning bolt. The same people could only mean one thing. He was with bin Laden's family. He was with bin Laden.
And the way he used the phone pretty much confirmed their suspicions. This wasn't some normal guy. He was practicing extreme caution, what you'd call operational security. The phone would only be on for a few minutes at a time, and he only ever switched it on when he was miles away from his home in the city of Peshawar. This wasn't just being careful. This was the behavior of a man protecting the most wanted person on Earth. So they tracked him from Peshawar all the way back to a large, very unusual compound in a town called Abbottabad.
So, the intelligence work was finally done. The focus shifted completely from analysis to action. The CIA had found the courier's hideout. The next step? Send in a team to find out exactly who and what was inside.
And this was the billion-dollar question. They were almost certain the courier lived in that compound. But there was no satellite photo, no phone intercept, nothing that could say with 100% certainty that Osama bin Laden was there too. After a decade, it all came down to this one incredible, high-stakes gamble.
The mission itself was just a masterclass in military precision. They planned to be on the ground for 40 minutes. The Navy SEALs were in and out in 38. And this is the amazing part. Within just 15 minutes of their boots hitting the ground, they had found their target. 15 minutes!
And the risks here were just immense. They used 2 specially modified stealth Blackhawks to fly into Pakistan completely undetected by radar. The compound itself was shockingly close to Pakistan's biggest military academy. And it didn't all go smoothly. One of the helicopters had a hard landing and had to be destroyed right there. But the team pushed on, and the SEALs found bin Laden on the 3rd floor.
With bin Laden's body on board, the SEALs flew back to Afghanistan. Within 24 hours, his identity was confirmed by DNA, and he was buried at sea. After nearly 10 long years, the hunt had finally, officially, come to an end.
It's really incredible when you step back and think about it. A global manhunt, billions of dollars, the entire might of the world's most powerful intelligence agency, and in the end, it all came down to finding one man's nickname, patiently following that single fragile thread, and waiting for him to make one phone call. Really makes you think, doesn't it?